Recording in progress.
Okay, hello everyone. So I think we need to start. It's 1:05. So, well, as I mentioned in the discussion in the chat room, I wish you can share your project ideas in this workshop. So this workshop, the first workshop is mainly about the assignment, the discussion, and the pitch ideas. So if you have any ideas about your project, what you want to do in the next few weeks, so please share your ideas in this workshop so that we can discuss, we can give you some comments, so that you know whether this is a good project or not. And yeah, if you want to discuss, you can type your project ideas in the chat room so that I can answer questions, or I can give you some comments, or you can raise your hand so I can unmute you and you can talk to us about your project so that we can give you some feedback. So before we do that, let's one thing I want to mention is about this pinch presentation survey online or in person. I believe all of you have received this announcement. So you have to go to the Google form to fill your answers, like your ID, your name, and whether you want to present your project online or in person. This is for the first week for the pinch idea session. So you must choose one, right? We don't want to make any assumption about which one you want to attend. So you must choose one. You want to online or in person, right? So make sure you let us know. Otherwise, we don't know whether you want to go to online session or in-person session. You need to know it as soon as possible, because I just noticed that, well, previously this course we only have 30 to 40 students, so we can do all the presentation in one lecture in one session. But now, because this course, I just noticed that we enrolled around 70 or 80 students. I know I understand that some of you might quit later, but well, maybe we will have around 70 students. So that means we cannot fill all of you into one session. So we will do parallel sessions. So one session is in person, one session is online session. If we have more students in the online session, for example, 40 or 50 students in the online session, so then that means we need to divide the online session into two parts and parallel. So please let us know which one do you prefer for the online session or in-person session. Okay, so make sure you fill this form. And if you have any questions about the online session or in-person session, like what's the difference, please let us know. So basically, there won't be a lot of differences. We will give you feedback. We will give you some comments about your project. And the marking scheme will be exactly the same. The only difference is that in person, in the physical room, or an online session, right? So we before the day of the presentation, we will send out at least the time slot. For example, I can say Hero One. It might be the first person, like from 1 o'clock to 1:05. So will be the first person to present. We will give you the time slots. So yeah, please make sure you fill this one. If you don't fill it, we will chase you. We will send you an email to ask you your preference. And if you don't answer, okay, if you don't respond, if you don't fill this form, if you don't respond, we will assume you attend the.
Yeah, and today's session is online.
Is it online?
Yeah.
What's the sessions today?
So we will assume you want to attend the physical session, and if you don't show up in the physical session, you will get 0 marks for this one. Okay, so please fill this one. This is very important. So this is the first thing I want to talk about today. The second thing I want to say is about some examples. So in the last week, in the last lecture, some of you asked about whether we can share some previous assignment examples. I put one zip folder up here, so you can find some assignment examples. There are basically 4 examples. Well, I only uploaded the final report. I didn't upload the presentation or the mini report in the middle. I only uploaded the final report. All these 4 projects got really good marks, and actually their final report got nearly 4 marks. So make sure you check them. They gave you some hints about what kind of projects are interesting and what kind of report we are expecting. Okay, so that's about the assignment examples. So okay, so as I mentioned, this today's workshop is mainly about the assignment, about the project. Okay, so as we can say, it's about assignment discussion and pinch ideas. So that means I don't have any contents to show in today's workshop. It's about you. It's about your idea. So I wish some of you can discuss and share your idea. If you can share it now, I can give you feedback so you can get the comments. You know whether it is a good assignment or not. Okay, so yeah. Now, which who of you want to share your ideas?
Professor, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
So, Jian, right?
Right.
Yeah, great.
So I've been doing research related to first I've been doing research related to stock price prediction,
Yeah.
which is a classical, like there are lots of models that could do this. But then I think like if I want to increase, like I want to do something new, I turn my eyes into cryptocurrency prediction. Which cryptocurrency market is similar to stock market, but something I find interesting is for cryptocurrency there are actually 2 kinds of coin that you could invest on, which one is a classical coin, the other one is token. They all have like prices and things. So I was thinking doing kind of a prediction on those 2 to predict like which one should I invest in a particular time or with a particular given amount of money that I have. So it's basically, I mean, I think it's a classification problem since I'm comparing between like this coin and token thing, but it is also a linear regression problem, right? Since I need to get the data and then predict like which one might go higher in later days based on the historical.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. I think you're absolutely right. So it can be treated as a kind of classification problem or a regression problem. If you treat it as a kind of classification problem, it might be just to predict it can go high or it can go low, right? So high or low. So basically the binary classification it will be much easier. Right. And if you treat it as a kind of regression problem, as you mentioned, it's not a linear regression. Linear regression is just straight. Right. Basically, you assume it's a linear fitting problem, so right. It's a regression problem, right? So if it's a regression, you want to predict the exactly real value of the stock, right? Of the stock price, or the, in your case, the currency price maybe. So I think they are good topics. So one thing you need to check is whether you can get enough data. So I know there are already a lot of data about stock price and currency. So I think once, but you want to make it novel. So remember we mentioned that we want this project to be novel and interesting. So how can we make it? So this is a kind of traditional machine learning project. So how can we make it novel, right? So my suggestion is to think about the COVID-19, right? So COVID-19 has a big impact to the stock price, right? For example, in Australia, we find well there are many cases. There are a lot of lockdown, so we find the currency price actually slightly lower, right, than before. All the stock price is actually stock value is actually lower. So if one day say, well, we don't have any cases, or the vaccination is very successful, or we have more vaccination than we expected, you can find that actually the stock the value is slightly higher, right? So that means you can consider about whether you can use some COVID-19 news as a kind of side information to help you to decide the stock value or the currency price. So I think that will be a very interesting project. And in this project, you also can extract information from the natural language. So that means you can combine machine learning and natural language processing to be a very interesting project. Okay.
All right. I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I can see this one. Timothy asked, I would like to do stock analysis through machine learning. Well, this is very general idea as the GEM proposed. Yeah. So a lot of people want to do the stock analysis. It depends on stock is a kind of very complex thing. So it's not so it's about the company's profile. It's about humans. Our general public's idea or motion about the company and the social news, the social trend. There are a lot of things about the stock price. So I suggest, if you just want to do a stock analysis, you must choose a good angle to say what kind of things, what kind of factors may affect the stock price, right? So that's my suggestion. So you cannot just say I want to do the stock price prediction. So you have to predict the stock price based on something like news, like I mentioned, the COVID-19 trend, or other things like whether there are some war between those countries, whether the war will affect the stock price, right? So yeah, a lot of things you can do based on the stock analysis, right?
And actually, my idea is because the original recurrent nuclear network has some drawback, such as Venice gradient problem. So so in my idea, I want to try to use the long short-term memory network to solve that problem. So is that idea is good enough?
My answer is sorry, no. So basically, I understand the recurrent neural network has some problem, or we call it vanilla RNN. And you just mentioned you want to use LSTM to solve that problem. So LSTM is a variant or an extensive version of the RNN. So basically, that we cannot call it as a kind of innovation or novelty. So as we mentioned, we don't want the project to be a kind of, you invent some algorithm. So actually LSTM is not, even LSTM is not your own algorithm, right? So we know RNN has problem. LSTM has problem as well. You cannot say, well, I replace RNN by using LSTM, then I guess I'm novelty. I don't think this is kind of novelty to the application side, right? This is, we even cannot say it's kind of a novelty for the methodology side, because LSTM is well-known, is well-established, and it's a existing mature algorithm, right? So it's not your own algorithm, so we cannot say it's a kind of novelty. Understand this one?
Yes. But because I already spent some time to study the long short-term memory network, so how can to make my project becomes more idea low-rented?
So basically, I don't want you to spend too much time on the method. So what's the difference between RNN and LSTM, and what's the difference between LSTM and nowadays we have more advanced version of LSTM, like we can use the transformer, which is much more stronger than the LSTM to do the sequence prediction, right? I don't want you or anyone invest your time to the difference between technologies, right? So I want you to invest more time on what's the difference between your project and other project, right? So if your project is about, as I mentioned, about the stock analysis, so I want you to think about, like I mentioned, what kind of factors will affect the stock, right? So like the COVID-19 or other stuff. So what's real important factors for the stock, but not what kind of algorithm will do better job to do the prediction.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So I can see George Zhang just say it would be considered novel if I found gaps in the current research of current problem domain and developed a novel and new machine learning system that improved the performance of a current system. Yes, it can be treated as kind of novelty, but then that means we will be checked whether your algorithm is really a kind of novel or new algorithm, right? So we assume you have some background knowledge of the machine learning, but obviously you are not the expert level of the machine learning, right? So when we say an algorithm is novel, we normally say this algorithm has never been invented or developed or used in some areas, in some applications. For example, in the computer vision, if you can invent a new algorithm to boost the performance of face detection and face recognition, that will be crazy good, right? So, but the course assumption that you are not that expert level, right? So if you are, of course, if you are confident enough that this is a totally new algorithm, that's fine. So totally we say this is kind of good and a novel algorithm, and this is a novelty, and we will give you good marks. But that will be hard. That will be even harder than many the whole year master project. So that's why in this course we want you to invest more time, or we want you to focus on the novelty at the application level. We want you to think about new kinds of, so treat you as a founder. Think about you want to have a new startup company, and for this startup company, you want to propose some new idea to the VC to say this is a new application. This application has never been used before. So don't focus on the technology, focus on the application. Okay. So, but my answer of this one is yes. If you are confident enough that your algorithm is novel, we consider it's a good project. Okay. So I can see Johanna want to discuss your project. Yeah. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, great. Yeah,
Hi.
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
So my project was also related to cryptocurrencies, just as I don't remember who was the first one.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not related to predicting the stock price or the token price, but there is one trend that is currently affecting crypto as a whole, which is the rug pulls. So basically,
Sorry, what?
a rug pull. So when you pull a rug, that's like the technical name that they put.
Okay.
Basically,
sorry.
no worries. So basically, what people have been doing is they have been or either one can anyone can create their coin, right? There are obviously some people who made their coins just to take away others people's money. So it's like a scam. Directly think about it as a scam. So I also found that some machine learning methods have been used to detect, for instance, money laundering in the Bitcoin blockchain. I found a research about it. So I was thinking about to analyze transactions in some example of these rug pulls, which are basically a coin that was created to scam people. So people buy the coin, and then at some point the developers just completely sold everything, and they run out with everybody else's money. So I was trying to, my idea was to use machine learning to predict if a coin will be rug pulled at some point or not. So that's
Yeah, to me, I think this is very, interesting and novel project. because I never learned that before. I think for me, from my perspective, this is very good project. But my suggestion is it looks like you have done some literature review about what kind of things have been done in this field. It sounds like some machine learning insecurity. So I suggest you go deeper to find out what kind of algorithm people are using, what kind of machine learning algorithm people are using to solve this problem, and think about your own method. In your case, I think the application itself is interesting enough and novel enough. So your next step is think about how can you get the data. Right, so the data set of this one is very important. So I'm not sure whether there are enough public available data set that you can use. If you don't, so how can you get those data? So
my idea was, for instance, since you have so you have different blockchains, right? The blockchains are public. You can download the transactions that you have.
Yeah.
I have so let's say I have 6-7 cases of coins that were rug pulled. So I can use those as my data sample if you want. That would be the model or the answer that I can produce. And my idea was to use those to reinforce the model as to what rug pull look like, right? So this is the behavior of a rug pull, and try to come up with something that is able to predict this sort of behavior.
Okay, sounds good. So you already got the data source. So it looks like the data source already has the labeled data. So you know this is good thing, this is not good thing, and it sounds like a kind of simple classification problem. So in your case, if you get the data, the initial try is maybe use the simplest SVM, support vector machine, to do the classification. If it works, I believe you have more time. Then you can try some if you have enough data. So it looks like I know the Bitcoin, the transaction data is all free and open, right?
Yeah, transparent.
You can just it's transparent. Yeah, you can download it. So that means you can get a lot of data. So that means some good algorithm like deep learning algorithm that is suitable for this kind of data. So you can think about use some deep learning algorithm if you have some if you have data and you have a good GPU. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good project. Yeah, I think it's a good project. So, yeah, sounds interesting and definitely attractive to me. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah. Anyone want to share your project? Would you recommend to find the useful data set first, or think of the perfect project idea first and find the data? So, I remember I mentioned this one in our first lecture, right? My recommendation was, if you cannot find an idea quickly, then maybe the best choice is go to find the dataset at first. You can go to Kaggle Challenge. You can check the paper, the website, and mention the AAAI website, CVPR paper website. Check what kind of paper titles are attractive, are interesting to you. Then read that paper. Basically, don't read the method part. Just read the introduction and the abstract part. Then you will find the data set or the application they mentioned. Then there are some public available data set you can use. Then think about what kind of applications you can do based on the data set. So if that's your case, you don't have any idea about what kind of things you want to do, then go to find the data set at first, and then think about what kind of things you can do. But some of you, I believe you have your daily interest. Someone like playing games, online games. So they can develop some AI algorithm, like reinforcement learning algorithm, to help them to play games, play the like StarCraft or Atari games. If some people are interested in the Bitcoin, for example, so you know where you can find the data, you know what's the case, what's the important thing in this area. Then you want to develop some applications, and some of you may just currently in one company or as an intern or as a engineer, you are working on something in your company, and you know that's an interesting application, and you know people will be interested in this kind of things. Then you get the application first, and then the next thing is to try to find out the data. So it really depends on your situation and case, right? Okay, thank you. I wish I answered your question. So now we have Francisco. Yeah, you want to share your project, so you can open to yourself now.
Hello?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I took the approach that you mentioned. I found a data set in Kaggle from Goodreads.
Yeah. So what's that about? What's the data set is about?
Goodreads is actually it's a website which has reviews from books.
Okay.
And the nice thing about Goodreads, they also had an API.
Yeah.
So I can extract all the information from each website about the books, and I found in this web page that they had also some list of books that people think are better than movies, and movies that are better than books. No, so
Okay.
I want to predict based which books can have the potential to be like a good movie, no, and maybe like try to merge this data set of Goodreads with some other from movies reviews, for instance, IMDb, and try to figure out if the movie is good because of the book, or for the movie itself, because maybe I can add some more data here and try to understand if for instance, if the movie had a good director or a big budget, that could also achieve a good performance, no?
Yeah, right. I think that's a very good project. So in your case, our original Kaggle challenge of this data set is to predict whether you have good review or bad review of the book, right?
I would like to predict if the book is good.
I know. I know. So I know your project, right?
I don't know.
My question is, what's the original Kaggle challenge for this data set?
No, there's. I'm not sure. I didn't review in detail the Kaggle challenge, but the typical challenge here are about predict movie ratings or book ratings, but not if a book can convert into a good movie. And,
I think this is interesting. So I think you'd better choose the fiction books only, right? So there's impossible to turn to a textbook like how to write Python into a movie. I suggest you only choose those fiction books, and I understand there are already a lot of data about the books and the review about the book, right? So you can also combine the review, like if the fiction book, if the review of this fiction book is quite good, so that means it can turn to some movie, right? You can also combine the movie information, whether this movie has a good sale price, like a lot of people like this movie, give 5 stars of the movie, like Harry Potter or other movies. So you can combine all this information together to build your own data set, and then give you a new book. Then you can give like a score. If you treat it as kind of score, a regression system, you can give a score like the 80 means it's very high, right? So if you can have a movie of that book, it will be very good. If I give you a book about like I mentioned,
No, but
how to write Python, then that means the score will be very low, right? It's not a good book to become a movie. I think, it's a very good
Yeah.
idea.
I think I was thinking about more in in a binary problem, no? Like
Yeah.
probably a classification problem to see
Yeah, so
if,
binary, so yes or no, right?
yes or no.
Yeah,
like
it
to-
should be much easier. Yeah, it's very much easier for the method part. So that means
Mm.
you can spend more time on a data set. So I think
Yeah.
this data set will be very useful and interesting. I think it even can, if you can make it good and it even can be turned to a publication. Because I think this data set should be very interesting.
Oh,
Okay.
would be nice.
So I also can give you some recommendation about what kind of data set you can go to. Find there is one data set called movie QA. So movie QA, just
Uh-huh.
question answer. So you can
Uh-huh.
just Google it, movie QA. So in that data set, they provide the movie and the script and the books about that movie. So like Harry Potter or this kind of things. So you can also search that one. It gives you a good data sources. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no worries. So I think that's your question. So let's see next one. So Yitong asked, I just have some general ideas, but I'm not sure which project angle is more novel and significant. Field identification. Oh, wow. You have lots of you have a lot of ideas. Image classification by main colors. Image transformation to specific personal painting style, discrimination of endpoint of parabolic curve, animal emotion detection and identification depending on animal behaviors. I think I like the last one, really. So there are some, for example, the third one, image classification by main colors. It's a kind of project that sounds like 30 years ago. So no one currently using the colors to do the image classification, and the image transformation to specific person styles. Yeah, this is a kind of interesting one. You can use a general advisory network again, or currently you can use a clip or something to implement it very easily. There are already some applications. If you find the App Store or Google Play, you can find a lot of applications about this one. So this is a project that means they are not novel anymore. But the sixth one, the animal emotion detection, that should be an interesting one. I have a cat at home, so I really want to know, sometimes what's his emotion, what he's thinking, right? So that could be an interesting one. But my concern is how can you find the data set? I don't know whether there are many data sets about the animal emotion. So cat, dog, farm animal. So so you have to be careful to choose what kind of animals you want to predict. For example, I believe it will be hard to predict the emotion of our birds, right? So basically, they don't have any facial expressions, but sometimes you can use the sound. That's okay. So my concern is whether you can find a good data set for this application. But honestly, the sixth one, the animal emotion detection, is the most interesting one in your list. Okay. Yeah, I wish I answered your question. If you have any question, ask again. So, one ask again about how much time can I spend on my presentation. Yeah, we haven't decided. It really depends. That's why we ask you to, tell us which session you want to attend, the online session or in-person session. We haven't. Currently, I have no idea how many students we totally have, because some of you will quit, more students will join, so we haven't finalized the number of students. So we want to put you into 2 groups. Ideally, if impossible, we'll put into 3 groups. So it will depend on the numbers in each group. Last year, each student had 5 minutes to present their ideas. But I'm not sure this year. I think at least 3 minutes. Okay, at least 3 minutes. But at most, I guess it will be around 5 to 8 minutes. At least it will be 3 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyone want to share their ideas? Because we have 24 students, I think this is a good chance you share your ideas so we can receive feedbacks. Because in our normal lecture session, we will not discuss our project. But of course, if you want to discuss, you can still send me or Madi, our tutor, email. Okay, so we have one student. Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
So
Hi.
Chirag, right? Chirag,
Yeah,
right?
hi. Yeah,
Okay,
Chirag.
meet you. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. So, yeah, you want to share some ideas?
Yeah. So one of the ideas that I was thinking in was to use tone analysis.
So,
So-
what analysis? Sorry.
Tone. Yeah. The tone of the speech.
Okay. Okay. Tone of speech. Yeah.
Yeah. So generally, the text analysis. So we have a sentimental analysis in which directly
Yeah.
sentiments are classified with the help of the text. But in a lot of cases, the tone is missed out. Like for example, if the people who cannot see, like the blind people, they understand news in a different way as compared to a normal news reader.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Tone analysis. Yeah. That's a good point. So yeah, I noticed. So for the data set, so in this case, you need. So what kind of you? I assume you want to treat it as a kind of classification problem, right? So what kind of label you want to have for this one? So positive, negative, happy, sad. So what kind of labels you want to have?
So what the thing that I was thinking was we can have different like as in text we can classify the text into different kind of emotions. So if it is possible to have like different kind of emotions, if we can analyze the frequency of the tone, and maybe
Okay.
we can compare, we can get the sentiments like the sentiments with the help of tone itself, and then maybe
Okay.
we can compare like for the text this is the sentiments, and for the tone this is the sentiments, and maybe we can have a study of it.
Yeah, it's good. So that means, yeah, so you have some labels. So my question is, how can you get those labels? For example, you mentioned emotion, right? I assume you want to classify the speech tones into like positive, negative, or happy or sad. So I'm not sure what kind. So if you want to use the supervised learning method, that means you have to have some labeled data, right? And if you, well, of course, if you want to use unsupervised learning method, that's fine. But still, you have to have some labeled data because you have to do the evaluation, right? You have to do like when you present your paper or present the final results, you have to say that's my accuracy, right? 60%, 50%, or 80%. In that case, you still need some labeled data. So my question is, how can you get those labeled data? Yeah.
Even I wanted the input from your side, like how will I get the data set, or like what data set will be a good thing.
Okay. So.
And how about the idea also? Is the idea a novel idea, or how?
Yeah, I think the idea is quite good. It's very interesting one. So, as you mentioned, this is a kind of missing piece in current speech recognition, right? So the emotion of your speech, and it's very hard to recognize, and because it depends on the background of the speaker. Even if you have different cultural background, even, right? So the answer might be different, and so that means the data source is very important. So I'm thinking whether you can extract some speech from the movies or from the cartoons. So for the Disney cartoons, I think in our daily talking, normally we don't have a lot of emotion in our speech, right? So, but in the movies, especially in the cartoons, actually you can find the emotions are very important. So the speaking is very, happy, sad is very, objective, right? So it's very easy to find. So maybe you can think about to extract the speech from the cartoons, and maybe they have some labels. And if you don't need a lot of labels, maybe you can manually label, because it will be easier to label them. You can label like, for example, 300 examples. That will be enough, right? For example, one data point is like 3 seconds. That should be enough. So that will be it shouldn't be a hard task to manually label it by yourself, like just for 300 examples. If you cannot find a good data source, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about the text then? Like, how will we get the related text for it then? This will be just the audio, but if we want to
Yeah,
compare.
so I think if you for the movie, you have the script, right? You have the script of the movie and captions. You can. I think it's easy to find out the caption. And even if you cannot find it, there are a lot of speech recognition tools that you can translate or transform the speech into text. This is kind of well-known and major technology that you can use, right? It's not a hard task. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah. And the next one, Paul E. Lee asked, is there the Pinch template for us? No, actually, the Pinch idea is basically just a presentation. You don't need to submit any report. It's basically a presentation, so it's a normal slides, like the title, your name, and an introduction, explain your idea, give us some examples, like why this is important, and explain your problem. And maybe you can also give us a plan. Let me share my screen. Maybe I can. Let me check. No, yeah, I cannot find the presentation slide from last year. But if you check the rubric of our Pinch assignment, you will find the presentation clarity is 2 score, slides is 2 score, idea, novelty, and significance is 4, and the clear planning is 2. Right, so that means in your presentation, you need to spend more slides on why your project is novel. That means you need to compare with previous applications or previous projects. Say, well, someone did this, someone did that, but my project is different. It's a novel one. And you also need to convince us, say, why this project is important, is significant, right? So it can affect people's life, affect our daily routine, so this kind of things. And you also need to discuss your further plan, like what kind of data set you want, what kind of data set you may use in the next few steps. You don't need to show us the exact data set you will use, but you need to show us you have some plan. Okay, so I think I can now give you a template, because different projects may have different things. We don't have a template, but if you check the assignment in the rubric, you will find out what kind of things are important for you to present in your presentation. Okay. Okay, I'll answer your question. So Parashant asked a question. I would like to make a mobile application where when you click a picture, the machine learning algorithm will describe what the picture is. This will, I think, use machine learning and NLP based, but I'm yet to search how novel it is. Yeah, so okay, this is called image captioning. Okay, this is my research area actually. So let me see whether we still have the demo. So, okay, so let me share my screen. So this application is called as image captioning. So let's see demo. So basically, you can input an image or submit an image or something. Then you can generate a caption, load models. This one is quite slow. Yeah, so this is an image, and you want to generate description like a double decker has driving a bus driving down a street, right? So if I'm right, this is application you want to do, right? So this is actually a kind of image captioning algorithm. So I think I wouldn't say this is a very novel project because it has been done, and even in the Microsoft PowerPoint, when you insert an image, you can actually the Microsoft PowerPoint will automatically describe this image, right? So I don't think this is a kind of no application, but let's think what things you can do. I will describe what the picture is. Yeah, so maybe one thing you can try is describe the art images, so like Picasso's paintings or drawing, right? So I think it's not novel if you want to just describe a general image like the image I show you, or just a natural image you captured from your phone. It's not novel. Well, we can't say it's not novel. It's a kind of new research area, but it's not that novel. So maybe what you can do is try to describe the artworks, right? Like the paintings. So for example, someone draw a cup or something, or draw a car is on the road, so you can describe that. So you know what I mean. So So image captioning is a kind of not new problem, but nowadays people only focus on the natural image description. So that means describe a natural image, describe the image captured from the camera. I think if you want to make your project novel, what you can do is to describe drawing or painting images, not the real images, right? So then in that case, you can make your project much more interesting and novel, and you can try some new algorithm. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Okay. Yeah. So we still have 5 minutes. Anyone have questions? Okay, so I cannot see anyone have more questions. So if no more, yeah. So here one question from Karen Wong. I would like to do a prediction in the stock price when the stock advice on social media like Twitter is good enough for the project in terms of novelty. Yes, I think I mentioned this one at the start of this workshop. Yeah, stock price. I believe, many of you will do stock price, but you need to choose a better angle. So, stock advice on the social media. Yeah, I think, in that case, you will have to extract the information. Right? You have to, if you have the API of the Twitter, I believe you can search some keywords, try to, extract the Twitter or news from the website about the information of that stock, right? So I think that's doable. According to the novelty, I suggest you do some background check. I suggest you to do some literature review to check, how can we predict the stock price accurately, whether the Twitter is an important factor. For me, I'm not sure what is happening inside the stock price. It's kind of projected several years ago, but I'm not sure what is happening now. It depends. It really depends what kind of factors you want to choose. Twitter is a good source if you can find a good API to extract the information. My suggestion is not only based on the stock advice. Maybe you can use some other side information like the news about the company, and even better, you go to you can extract the information about the profile of that company. That will be I think much better than only using the Twitter as a kind of source. Okay. Because my concern is, I'm not sure whether my major concern is I'm not sure how many data you can get from the Twitter for the stock price prediction. There are more information is on the website, or more information about the companies from news, not from the Twitter. So if you can get enough information from Twitter and the accuracy is okay, I think that this is fine. Okay. But my concern is whether you can get enough information. But according to the novelty, I think it's good. Okay, so Xiaozhen Wen, so do you want to share your project?
Hi, Professor.
Yeah.
My idea is since I'm working in a construction software business, right now I'm thinking to generate a BQ document, bill of quantities document from a building drawing,
Okay.
or a BIM model. But inside this idea, I believe there's two important steps. Probably first, we have to generate the descriptions for all kinds of items included in the drawing, like slabs or footings, all those things. And then we need to get quantities from the drawings.
Okay.
See, that's the a basic idea.
I see. It sounds a challenging task, right? So if you want to, the drawing recognition is still very hard problem. I'm not sure about the building drawing, so I think it's a challenging problem. My suggestion is try to simplify the problem, so don't make it too hard as a kind of course project. So do you have the data? So label data, you want to do the quality check, say this is a high quality drawing or this is not, right? So my question is, do you have the data? So label the data, you say this is a good one, this is a not good one, or this is a middle one. So do you have those kind of data?
Not really. That's we
that's also
only unlimited building drawings. Then they are just drawings. Then we need
they're just drawings.
Manually actually take the.
You need the labels, right? So if, for example, let's assume you have data, you have drawing, you have the label. That shouldn't be too hard. You can simply use SVM or deep learning. In this case, it's a computer vision application. You can use CNN to extract the features, then you can use SVM to do the classification, or you can just use the CNN, use deep learning algorithm to do the classification, like good or not. You don't need to care about, or you need to recognize this as a lab or this is something at first, right? You don't need to do that. You can just treat it as a kind of supervised learning method and train your model. But if you don't have that data, you don't have the labeled data, it will be a complex problem. You have to first try to extract some information, then use that information to make some rule-based algorithm to decide whether this is good or not. So my suggestion is to go back to see whether you can have enough data. Right? If you have enough data, then that should be a good project. If the data is the problem, think about it. Think about how can you make the problem simpler, or make so use the data I had to do this project, right?
So I'm thinking if we like limited the target or the goal of the project, then is it still like a novel idea or application?
Well, it depends on how you make it simpler, right? So I don't know. Currently, I cannot see the data, so it will be better if you can send me some example data. Then I will see. Then we will see how novel or how hard of that problem it is. So because I don't know, I'm not an expert on that side. I'm an expert on machine learning. So in that case, I don't know how do you want to make simplify your problem. That's a key issue. So, but if the problem is just to predict the quality, like a hand drawing, so that should be achievable. That should be doable. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So. Thank you. So I think, we are reaching our time. So thank you very much. So that's our today's workshop. So please remember to fill that Google form. So to let us know which session, the online session or physical session you want to attend. Okay. So that's it. If you have any questions, send me an email. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.